Hi, I'm Ren, I have ADHD, and today I'm talking about the Dopa-Menu. Ooh, there it is. It's so bright, it's so colourful. Dopamine. 1 second, the cats want to be in the video, apparently. Come here. There we go. Are we happy? So the Dopa-Menu was invented by a YouTuber in 2020 named Jessica McCabe, and essentially it is a way of visualizing options for getting some dopamine quickly and easily without having to think about what the tasks are that you could be doing. If there are two things that people with ADHD struggle with, it is dopamine and making decisions. So this eliminates a lot of the hassle. So I actually learned about the Dopa-Menu from Ellyce Fullmore, who wrote the book Keeping Finance Personal. I'm so glad that I actually have physical copies so I can show this off. It's a beautiful book. It kind of changed my life and the way that I manage my finances, and the Dopa-Menu was one of many resources that she recommended and has implemented in her life, and it's helped her as well. I actually want to find something that I think shows, here it is. Okay. So Ellyce talks about the habit cycle, which has a cue, a routine, and a reward. So the cue might be feeling bored, the routine might be that you just go on your phone and start scrolling, or you start shopping, even worse. And that's just your routine when you're bored. You can't help it, it's kind of this involuntary reaction that you have. And the reward that you get from that is excitement, it's dopamine. Now, why is this an issue for people with ADHD in particular? People with ADHD have a dysregulated dopamine system, and this is why we're constantly seeking activities and doing things or buying things that bring those dopamine levels up to keep us feeling good and stimulated. This can often be healthy things and healthy activities, but a lot of the time for people with ADHD, it can be more unhealthy. It can lead to things like addiction, substance abuse. Personally, in the past, I have indulged in some not so healthy choices for where I'm getting my dopamine from, and it's taken a lot of conscious effort to change those routines and to change my cues as well for when I do start to feel that boredom or that understimulation, to know what I can do if I'm feeling that way. So without further ado, let's dive into the Dopa-Menu and let's break down what all the categories are doing. This is basically a list of activities that you brainstorm and sort and then display somewhere really prominent. Mine's right next to my desk usually, so that if you're starting to feel understimulated, you can look to that and easily see what you need to do or what you could do without having to go through the process of thinking about it, because that's more work. So to begin with, we have our starters or our appetizers. These are things that can be done super quickly, provide a little burst of dopamine, and are really good especially when you're taking a break from a longer, harder task, like working all day, for example. So on my list, I have play with the cats because they're quite accessible and that brings me joy. Or I have, listen to music, do a quick dance, do a quick stretch, something like that that gets my body moving. Ideally, I want to get out of my seat if I'm at the desk as well. We then move on to our mains. So mains are activities that might take longer to accomplish, but they result in more dopamine being released from doing the task. They also might require a little bit of effort as well. Some exertion goes into it. So for example, on my list, I have, do a workout, go for a longer walk, or read something. So if I'm not feeling like I have the mental capacity to read, obviously I'm not going to do that one. I might go for a walk instead. If with your mains you are struggling to find the motivation to start the task, which might happen because there's too many steps involved, I always try to think about how I feel at the end of those activities. So after I go for a walk, or after I go bird watching, how do I feel in that moment? And then I try to remember that feeling, that really happy, fulfilled feeling, and I focus on that and trying to attain that, as opposed to bogging myself down in thinking about all of the things that could go wrong or all of the things that are putting me off doing it in the moment. And it doesn't always work, and that's okay. It's just a technique I've been trying to get through a lot of that. Sometimes, I also have on my main section calling a friend or family, but sometimes I am all talked out and have no mana left for phone calls, and that's okay as well. I can just choose something else. So that's the point of having these options, is you don't have to mentally go through that. You can just look at it and see that there are those alternatives. Now, dessert, it's a very self-explanatory section, but these are things that provide enjoyment but should probably be taken in moderation. So for example, I have video games and bubble tea on my dessert list because those are things that bring me a lot of dopamine, but that I need to be mindful of my consumption of these things. Video games, I have them kind of scheduled almost every day. I will schedule time to try and play video games in the afternoon or evening. So the other good thing about dessert, right, half of the fun is looking forward to the thing. So knowing that the dessert will come at the end of the day helps as well. Next we have specials. Not every Dopa-Menu has these, but I have this on there just as things to look forward to, but also specials are things that kind of cost money probably, or take a bit more planning, like op shopping or going for a longer trip or seeing a movie. Those things I love. They provide a lot of dopamine, but I need to plan. I can't just do them spontaneously or all the time. I need to really plan for that and make sure that I can afford to do those things as well. Lastly, we have our sides. Sides can basically be paired with any activity that isn't quite as pleasurable, such as working, for example, or studying, but they just add a little bit more enjoyment to make the task more bearable. So on my side list, I have, listening to a podcast or some music or a familiar show in the background. Ideally, you want to have something on in the background that isn't too engaging or something that you've watched 100 times so that you don't end up actually watching it. I'm saying that, but I did just watch like 3 episodes of Star Trek Voyager yesterday because I got sucked into it. So you've really got to be careful about having things on the side, and if you've actually got some really important work to do, it's probably not the best idea if you know that you tend to be extra distracted by those things. Stimming is also on the side list. I have all of my stim toys on my desk. You can probably see them there. But just doing whatever you need to with your hands to make sure that you can get through the activity without feeling overwhelmed and releasing that energy. I also have body doubling on my side list, and I use a website called Focusmate. I've been using it for a few years now. Oh, hello. Focusmate has been a really great way to hold myself accountable when I'm doing tasks, or if I just need to sit down for an hour and concentrate on a thing. It means that someone else is going to be checking in with me at the end of that hour to make sure I got the thing done. The website's constantly updating. I think they've just integrated Google Calendar integration, which is amazing for your planning and scheduling. Focusmate, look into it. It's not as scary as it seems. I've had hundreds of sessions and everyone has been so lovely, and it's one of my best things to have on the side because it's better than a TV show because someone's expecting me to get something done. So it's really good for that motivation, especially if you're working from home or you're trying to do tasks that are self-motivated. It can just help to add that extra layer of accountability. Okay, so that is my Dopa-Menu walkthrough done. I'm so grateful to all of the people who made this idea a thing. I love little hacks and tricks like this. I love the fact that I could get this printed from Officeworks and it got delivered to my house along with some other posters that I made, which I might go through in a future video if anyone watched this at all. And if anyone's interested in seeing those things or talking more about resources for people with ADHD. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you have a great day.